Hey everybody, it's Thursday night and I just finished up a water change here on my T Bar tank, and I'm in the middle of doing a water change on my Gourami tank. We're going to do a before and after video on my Gourami tank, but I didn't bother with the T Bar tank here. I did want to talk a little bit about what I did while I was in here though. If you'll notice how open it is up here in the front, you can see I removed a huge mass of Java fern out of here. I removed a bunch of the Java fern that was in this chunk in the middle. I thought about removing some of the... It sounds like my filter is running dry over there. I thought about removing some of the Anubias. You can see that little white piece in there. That's a new piece of root growth. You can see the new leaves unfurling, so the rhizome in there is doing really well and it's just growing like crazy. So I could chop the whole end of that off, as I've done recently. This one over here, you can kind of see that new shoot back there that's got new growth on it. I've got new growth coming in on the rhizome up here, so I could really get in and do a lot with that one too. This one actually has several little flower heads getting ready to pop out on it. So I didn't do anything with the Anubias just yet. We're going to leave that alone for now. I was able to get my Apanagitan put back in the ground. I leveled the substrate back out. I put my piece of woodwork back out on prominent display there because the T-bar gets in here and digs and moves everything around. This is my snail that the shell does not look good. I'm not even sure if it's alive anymore. I honestly don't think it is. I think it's dead in there. I did find the little bottom plate, the little trap door, I guess you'd call it, in the bottom of the tank. I don't know if it was from this one. I did have a black and a white one in here too, so there was two other mystery snails in here in addition to these two blue ones. So not really sure what's going on with that, but this blue one here doesn't look very good. I did find out when I was in the filter that I did not ever put the Poultry Grit in this filter. I thought I had, but I had not. I did put some of the other remedies in the tank. I put some mineral stones in it, and I put the wonder shells in it, but both of those dissolve pretty quickly and have to be added on a regular basis in order for them to really make an impact. So while I was in there tonight, I got into the filter and I added a bag full of Poultry Grit, which is crushed coral and crushed oyster shells. I love watching their mouth as they scrape along on the glass. So I did put some of that Poultry Grit in a mesh bag in the filter, so that will be flowing into the tank over time, and then hopefully that will help my snails develop better shells in here. I'll also point out that I found yet another dead hatchet fish to add to my collection, and this one was actually between, sorry about that, between the light and the hood, and the way it got there is back here. I've got it covered up again, but you see that little gap in the plastic? That's all a hatchet fish needs. That is a huge gap for a hatchet fish, and apparently one had come up through there, and even with my cloth hanging over the back, which I thought would sort of bounce them back into the tank, unfortunately it bounced them up between the light and the glass, and by the time I found it, when I did my water change this evening, it was obviously very desiccated. You know, it's like it's a fish and chip all in one go. So I've still got most of my hatchet fish in there, but lost the one. I also found a female guppy that was all shriveled up and dried up on the top like that too, so a guppy must have come up out of there at some point. And while I was doing the water change, I did see my hatchet fish that's got the messed up swim bladder and is down near the bottom. Still looked okay. It's just, you know, it can't really swim around the top anymore. It's just kind of down on the bottom. I've had fish that had swim bladder issues that lived for years with swim bladder issues, so we'll see. I did put a wonder shell in this tank in addition to the Poultry Grit and everything that was in here. I'll also say when I got into where I could see the Powerhead, when I cleaned some of that fern out of the way and I could get to the Powerhead, I actually had a huge mass of Java moss. I don't even know how I got Java moss in this tank, but I had Java moss growing all over my Powerhead back there, really slowing down the flow of the water. So I scraped all of that clean as best I could. And don't forget, all these plants that I've been pulling out of the tank, I have for sale. I'll put my email down below. That is the Java fern I pulled out of here. And I mean, this thing is packed. Oops, didn't realize I had water in there. This thing is packed with Java fern. So if I broke this up in the rhizomes into, 2 or 3 inch long segments, I'd probably have a couple of dozen chunks of Java fern to get rid of there. This right here is actually just a look at some of the roots I removed and cut out of there, just because it was just too much root mass in there for me to get rid of. So I got a lot of Java fern. If anybody's interested in buying some Java fern, I sell big boxes of it. You'll get a big sack full of it in a box for $22. Just, again, check out my email below. Contact me. We'll make arrangements. You won't be dissatisfied. You'll get a lot of plants for your money. So that's about all I can think of that's going on with this tank. We can have a really quick look at this one, but it's about time to get filling it up. I will be doing a before and after. In fact, I've already shot the before. We're in the during at this point, and then we'll be doing the after later. So for a sneak peek, I can already tell you I took a huge mass of that Java fern out of there too, and just put a little chunk back in. I didn't need that huge wad of it up there. And then I removed a few of the larger leaves of the Red Tiger Lotus, and I pulled some of the ones that were up on the surface. I pulled them out, and then I pulled a whole bunch of the little baby water sprite off of this mama plant in here. So I've also got a bunch of water sprite for sale. Again, check my email in the description below. So make sure you're subscribed, that way you won't miss anything. I will leave you with the tank we started on, so don't forget this one here is my T Bar tank. And then, of course, that Gourami tank will be coming up here in a video real soon. So if you're subscribed, you won't miss any of that. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I will see you real soon on the next one.